Hey, and welcome to our Tuesday Night Live broadcast. So whether you are joining us live tonight on the broadcast or whether you are watching the recording, hey, I'm so happy you either found your way back to the channel or you found our channel. This is your first time watching. If you have been here and you have not yet hit the subscribe button, would love to have you hit the subscribe button. When you subscribe, that button turns from red to gray. It'll alert you for all of our uploads Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do upload 4 times a week here on the channel. Would love to have you join our growing tribe here on YouTube. And yeah, when you subscribe, ring the bell, it'll notify you for our fit tips, weight loss tips, healthy low calorie recipes, and all of that. So anyway, yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So tonight we're going to be talking about something, oh my goodness, okay. So if you are on here and you and I work together as far as I am your health coach, you've hired me to help you lose weight, to get healthy, to get fit, whatever, gain weight in some cases. I know that still trips me out when I get a message like, hey, I'd like to gain some weight. I'm like, oh, God bless you. As somebody who could never imagine, topping the scale at 288 pounds, someone wanting to gain weight. I was never blessed enough to be that person. And so anyway, yeah, but if you're somebody who works with me, then you will know that this is something that you have heard me talk about over and over and over again. And that is your habits, my habits. Because first we form our habits and then our habits form us. First, we form our habits, and then our habits form us. So as somebody who was 288 pounds, that's where I topped the scale, not pregnant, busting out of a size 22, wearing Spanx under everything, even yoga pants. I think the only thing I didn't wear Spanx under was a bathing suit. And at one point, I even had Spanx bathing suit bottoms. You know how they have a tankini? Well, Spanx has bathing suit bottoms that are they look like a regular black bottom, but they come all the way up, right up under here, and they smooth and suck everything in. And I would wear those underneath a tankini top. So I guess you can really say Spanx under everything, including a bathing suit. And, I had heard about habits, but I was that person that really believed my habits were not that bad. Yes, there was some overweight people that had bad habits. Not me. I was the overweight chick that didn't eat that bad. I didn't eat that much. And I was fully in denial because here's the truth. The number on the scale is a direct reflection of our habits. The tag on our clothing is a direct reflection of our habits. Period. End of story. I could try to deny it all I wanted. The truth was, everybody else could see what my habits were. I was one of the last ones to see it. There's a saying that says what you eat in private shows up in public. I don't know. I guess somehow I wanted to think that everybody thought that I was this super duper healthy person and just happened to have this, downside of being overweight. No, and I think everybody else knew. I was kind of the last one to get the memo and figure it out. But it took me a really long time to actually get to a place where I could be real and not defensive about my habits. And, part of it was I was self-conscious about my weight. I was self-conscious about my size. And the last thing I wanted to do was, admit what everybody else already knew. But when I finally got to a place where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, I was sick and tired of being overweight, I was sick and tired of shopping in the plus size section, it was okay, I've got to figure this thing out. And I can remember when I first started my weight loss journey again, and I started really looking at, okay, how did I end up here? Have you ever asked yourself that question? How did I get here? How did I get to 288 pounds? How did I get to morbidly obese? How did I get to a size 22? How did I get here of a decade of failing at every weight loss thing I ever tried? And everything I looked at pointed back to my habits. Because first we form our habits, and then our habits form us. And I had morbidly obese habits. There's no way, if you have skinny habits, you're skinny. If you have fit habits, you're fit. If you have healthy habits, you're healthy. If you have overweight habits, you're overweight. If you're obese, you have obese habits. If you're morbidly obese, you have morbidly obese habits. And that was a really tough pill for me personally to swallow that, okay, Carmen, like, do you want to have a big fat ego? Do you want to think you're right, or do you want results? And I can remember the day that I was like, okay, my habits suck. Like literally, they've led me to exactly where I'm at. And if I want a different result, if I want to if I want to have a change in my life, in my body, then I've got to start making some freaking changes. And it always has to start with your habits. And I had learned that through business, but I don't know, for some reason, when it came to my health, I was really hard-headed when it came to that one area. I was in major denial. What's that saying? Denial isn't just a river in Egypt. Is that how it goes? Anyway, if it's not how it goes, shh. That's how I remember it. All right. So your habits, my habits. Habits are something that we develop over time. And we're not born with bad habits. We create bad habits. Now, here's the good thing. Just like we create them, they're a learned behavior. We adapt, we learn, we create over time. We can also create new habits. And the new habits we create, listen, your habits are going to take you somewhere, period. And if you want to go to a different place health-wise than where you're at, you've got to create some new habits that lead there. Like, I have learned some things about highways, and I know that I-75, no matter where you live in the United States, I-75 runs north and south. It's just the way it runs. I can't remember the name of the one that runs west to east, but I-75 runs north to south. Well, if I'm jumping on the interstate I-75, it's never going to take me to California. It's just not going there. It goes from north U.S. to the south of the United States, period. If I want to go to the west or the east coast, I better find a different highway, because that highway ain't getting me there. And so your overweight, your obese, your morbidly obese habits are not going to get you to healthy. You've got to get on a new habit. You've got to create a new habit. You've got to start a new habit if you want to get to a new destination. Does that make sense? And so tonight I want to talk to you about 3 different things you need to do when it comes to habits in order to get from where you're at to where you want to go. So number 1 is you've got to recognize and really hone in on what your bad habits are. You can't change them if you don't know what they are. You can't conquer them or beat them or overcome them if you don't think you have them. Because listen, habits, either you overcome them or they overcome you. Bad habits, that is. And so it's recognizing, what is the bad habit? Is it emotional eating? Or do you have a habit of emotional eating? Do you have a habit of quitting? Do you have a habit of talking the talk but not walking the walk? Are you all talk and no walk? It's so sad as I'm listing these. Literally, for me, I'm like, check. I had like almost all the bad habits. No wonder why I was morbidly obese, because I had all these bad habits. Do you have a habit of overeating? It's a habit. It's you're addicted to the way you feel when you overeat, that feeling of full. Do you have a habit of going to bed with that full feeling? Do you have a habit of drinking soda versus water? Do you have a habit of eating carbs and sugar? That can also be an addiction. Sugar, most definitely. Isn't it shocking? Like, sugar has the same effect on the brain. Scientists have said this as crack cocaine. Like, when I read that study, I was like, wait, what? What? Like, you eat it and then you fiend for it. Like, you eat sugar and then it leaves you wanting more sugar. It's kind of crazy, right? Do you have the habit of giving excuses to why you didn't get something done? Do you have a habit of whatever your bad habit is? And I could sit here and list them for, a long time. There's tons of bad habits. Those are just a few. But what is stopping you? Why do you stop? Why do you quit? Do you have a habit of quitting? Do you have a habit of not making time? Do you have a habit of prioritizing other things over your health? Do you have a habit of going through the fast food drive-through every time you get in the car? Do you have a habit of nighttime snacking? Do you have a habit of binging? Do you have a shopping habit, which means you're buying clothes for your overweight self, which is actually helping to keep you stuck where you're at? We did a whole nother call on that. What is your bad habits? And you've got to start getting real with yourself and saying, what are my bad habits? What are my habits that are keeping me stuck? And here's the thing with habits, all right? Habits is what happens when imagine a habit, okay? Have you ever just driven somewhere, like, okay, let's just say you go to work every day. Have you ever gotten to work and you get there and you can't even remember driving? Like, you think and you go, wow, like, I don't even remember that drive. Isn't that a scary feeling? Why? Because you've done it so many times that you are just on autopilot. You know how to get there. You know the curves. You know the turns. You get there. You're completely in deep thought. You don't even remember getting there. You pull in and you're like, I'm to work already. I don't remember any of that. That's a really scary feeling. A habit is the same way. So let's just say you have a habit of emotional eating. Then what happens is, number 2 is recognizing your triggers. What triggers you? Because when you have a habit, again, let's go back to emotional eating. Let's just say you had a bad day at work. Well, that's a trigger for a lot of people when they're an emotional eater. So when you have a bad day at work, what happens is your brain goes, oh, bad day. We go through the drive-thru and we get a Big Mac. We go to the freezer and we get ice cream. We stop at the store and we get cheesecake and spicy Doritos. Whatever your, junk food of choice is. Taco Bell and McDonald's French fries. Yeah. But your brain, you don't even have to think about, I've had a bad day. I think I'd like some junk food, some carbs, some sugar, some alcohol, whatever it is that you are used to doing. Your brain's already made a path. You've done it enough times that it just knows when this happens, here's what I do. When I have a bad day, I eat food. When I get a promotion at work, I eat food and I celebrate. You've made this habit, so your brain just knows when you have an emotional moment, when you're emotionally charged, we eat. Okay? You don't even have to think about a habit. You just do it. If you have a habit of biting your nails, chances are you don't sit there and think, oh, let me bite my nails. You probably catch yourself biting your freaking nails and you don't even know it. My husband has a habit of shaking his freaking leg. He'll be shaking we'll be at a stoplight and the car will be stopped. We'll pull up. He'll be shaking the whole car. He doesn't even know he's doing it. He has this habit that drives me bonkers of shaking. He'll shake the whole bed. We'll be at a conference. He'll be shaking the whole row of chairs. We'll be in a theater. He'll be just shaking his leg. I'll be like, babe, could you please? He was like, oh, sorry. I don't even realize I'm doing it. Why? Because it's a habit. He just does it. He fidgets. And so number 1 is recognizing your habits. Number 2 is recognizing the triggers. What triggers you? What triggers you when it comes to your habits? Okay? Is it a bad day at work? Is it when things get hectic and stressed? Is it when you stepped on the scale and you didn't lose any weight? And all of a sudden you're like, F this, I did all this work, I didn't lose 5 pounds this week, I'm out of here. I'd rather be fluffy. And then you stay there until you get sick of being fluffy and then you recommit to something else. Maybe you have a habit of shiny object syndrome. And you're good until you see on social media someone else's before and after or someone else's results. And you're like, well, I didn't have that habit. Well, maybe if I go do what they do, then I'll get their results. That's a habit. That's a habit of shiny object syndrome and not being focused. That's a habit. And so you have to recognize it, and then you have to start recognizing, what are your triggers? What causes you to quit? What causes you to emotional eat? What causes you to get frustrated? Number 3. The third thing you have to that we have to do when it comes to our habits, and most people let me just say, ignoring your habits will never change them. Ignoring your bad habits will never get you to where you want to go. This is why so many people lose weight. They don't ever look at their habits. They don't ever change their habits, and they'll go on a diet. They lose the weight. They don't touch their habits. And then as soon as the diet's done, the bad habits are like, hey, what's up, yo? They come right back and they end up right back to where they're at. Why? Because if you change your behavior under a diet, but you don't deal with the root, you don't deal with the habit, you get skinny, but you still have obese habits. What's going to happen? First we form our habits, then they form us. So if you're skinny, but you have obese habits, you're going to end up right back at obese. If you get skinny, but you have overweight habits, you're going to wind up right back at overweight. For some of you, hopefully you were like, oh, that is why I've been a yo-yo dieter my whole life. Yes, because if you do not deal with your habits and you don't deal with them, you're never going to get done with this thing called weight. You've got to deal with those bad habits, because when you change your habits, when you form new habits, you will get a new result. Period. End of story. First we form our habits and then they form us. The only reason why my form has stayed this instead of going back to a form of 288 pounds this time around is because I dealt with these things called habits. And so and the way so recognizing them, what are the triggers? What are they? What triggers me to do them? And then what is the habit? Because you're not going to get rid of the trigger. You're not going to totally ever live life unstressed. You're not going to ever live life where you're just not emotional, like no emotional moments. You're never going to live in a world where everything goes 100% perfect 100% of the time. That just doesn't happen. And so what we need to do is change your behavior, how you react, how you deal with the emotions, how you deal with the jerk, how you deal when your spouse is not being very nice, how you deal when your boss is having a bad day, how you deal when you're the boss and, something like COVID happens and you're like, wah! How do you deal with those things? That's what we need to change. And so it's about taking those bad habits and you need to replace them with a good habit. Replace them with a good habit. So for instance, I had to think about, okay, I was a really big emotional eater. So when I am emotionally charged, good or bad, I wanted to eat all the carbs, all the sweets, all the sugar. So I was like, okay, what would the healthy me do? What kind of habit would help me get to where I want to go? When I'm stressed, what would a size 2 me do? When I'm stressed, what would a size 4 me do? Whatever your goal is, my goal, by the way, was never a size 2. That's kind of just where I ended up. It was never the goal. The first time I put on the pair of size 2 pants, I was like, get the frick out of here. Shut the front door. For someone who believed they were big boned and more, it's just, I wasn't a small kind of girl. The fact that a size 2 of anything fit me was like shocking, absurd, insane, like ridiculous. Anyway, so for me, it was like, okay, going for a walk or doing something physical like exercise, I could do that. Like I'm like I can get my aggression out. I can get my emotions out. Like that could be something that would be good for me. And so that's what I've done. When I'm having an emotional moment, when I have some aggression, it's either taking a walk or doing a workout. I had a moment just recently, it was a month or two ago, where I had a friend that was going through some crap and she had gotten some not good news and it was just like, dang it. And so, when you have a family member or a friend, somebody you care about that's going through stuff, sometimes it can make us go, ah. So I was like, okay, I had this emotional moment. So what did I do? I went down to my basement and I did a workout. Blasted my music, did the workout, threw some weights around, jumped around, sweated it out, and I felt better. But that was my first go-to. I need to freaking do a workout. Versus, listen, in a perfect world, I could get all emotional and just sit there and go, Lord, help me. But I'm not there. I still need an outlet. But I don't need that outlet to be Ben and Jerry. I don't need that outlet to be Haagen-Dazs. I don't need that outlet to be McDonald's or running for the border Taco Bell. I love me some Taco Bell. Fourth meal is great, but fourth meal didn't help my backside. So you need to start being strategic, logical about what are the habits that are going to help getting you to where you want to go. If you have a habit of quitting, well, you recognize I have a habit of quitting. What triggers me to want to quit? Do I get bored? Do I get frustrated? Do I have unrealistic expectations? Whatever that is. And what will I do when I feel like this? Newsflash, all of us at some point are going to want to quit. You're going to want to quit. Even now, there are days that I don't want to do the things I know I need to do. That's called life. Like, I don't wake up every day wanting to be mom of the year. I just don't. I don't wake up every day wanting to be super nice to my husband and pick up his underwear and not be a wench and say something about it. No, but I get a choice. What kind of marriage do I want? And what's going to help me get to the marriage that I want? Wenching at him about his underwear after over 10 years of marriage isn't going to get me nowhere. So I have a choice. I can leave him on his side of the bed and let him pile up and just choose to not care, or I can pick him up and shut my mouth. Which one do I want to do? Which one's going to get me to my goal? Either one of those, but certainly not wenching at him for it. Does that make sense? And so what are you going to do the next time you want to quit? Are you going to entertain it? For me, it was no. Quitting's not an option. It's not an option, because the only way that I don't succeed is if I quit. Because failure is a part of success. So no matter how long it takes me to succeed, as long as I don't quit, I'm going to get to success. It might take me longer than I wanted. I might have a few more obstacles or stumbling blocks, but as long as I don't quit, my destiny is success. I know I'm going to want to quit. What am I going to do when I want to quit? And again, giving up and giving in is a habit, just like persisting. Giving up and giving in when you hit an obstacle is a habit, just like persisting through the obstacle is also a habit. So looking at those habits, looking at your stumbling blocks, recognizing them, what your triggers are, and then what will you do the next time they happen? Maybe, you have a habit of giving in to bad foods. So you think about it, okay, my habit is giving in to bad foods. What's my trigger? The break room at work, parties, going out with my friends at night, and alcohol. What is your trigger? What triggers you? Where do you give in the most? Making lunch for the kids, weekends, whatever it is, holidays, whatever it is. It's probably not just holidays, but what are your triggers? And what will I do the next time there's cookies in the break room at work? What will I do? And what will you do? Will you go drink some water? Will you tell a coworker, hey, there's some cookies in the next time there's cookies, will you talk me off the ledge? I'm trying to break this habit of snacking at work. Whatever it is, it's you coming up with a way to break that old habit and starting to form the new habit of a different action. Just because you want to break the habit, by the way, doesn't mean you will right away. Again, it takes time. It takes time to form a new habit, and it takes time for your brain to make that new path. You know, a path through the woods, when you first try to cut through the woods, there's stems and leaves and twigs and branches and brush and all of that, right? But you can always tell when imagine you're going to form a new path going to the lake through the woods. The first time you walk through that path, you're going to have to get through all the junk. Let's just say over the next month, you go down that path 20 times, 30 times. You're now going to have, someone can now actually look and go, oh, there's a path. There's a path through the woods. I wonder where it goes. Why? Because when you go down it enough, you start to make treads. You start to make marks. You start to wear out, get rid of the brush, get rid of the debris, clear it out, make a visual path in the woods. That's what you're doing inside of your brain, but it takes time to do that. You're not going to just do it one time and all of a sudden be like, oh, there we go, there's a path. No, the old path is still going to be there, but over time, the old path will get grown over. Over time, leaves will cover where you've walked. Over time, the twigs and the branches will grow, and you'll hardly be able to see that path. And over time as well, the new path will become evident. The new path will become cleared. The new path will be the new way. if you persist, if you do this. And let me tell you, your dream body is on the other side of you doing this. Your goal, your health, your weight loss, whatever it is on the other side of you doing this. But you've got to do this. You've got to get through this. If you want to get to that goal, if you want to get to the pie in the sky, the size 2, the size 4, the size 6, under 200 pounds, feeling better, healthy, more energy, whatever it is, a size 10, whatever it is, your goals are your goals. There's no right, there's no wrong. But you've got to deal with these habits, because if you don't and you go lose 50 pounds, I'm telling you, you're going to wind up finding them again. But if you can get to the root of these problems, if you can get to the root of these habits, it's a game changer. Game changer. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out some of our other videos here on the channel. If you are a fan, if you're a fan of healthy, delicious treats that don't pack a punch, and I just thought of this because, you know, a lot of us, I'm sure, can check the box of emotional eating. And for me, one of my big ones was like ice cream, Blizzards from Dairy Queen, McFlurries from McDonald's, a concrete mixer from Culver's, all those things. Anyway, down below, I will link. We actually did a video where we did a healthy protein-packed Oreo Blizzard from home. It's got all kinds of good stuff in it. It makes a ton. Most nights, me and my kids will share this. We'll divide it up into 3 servings. But even if you ate the whole thing, which is like, I don't even know if I could eat it all. It'd only be like 400 and some calories. But it's an Oreo Blizzard from home recipe. I'll link that down below. Make sure to check that out if you're somebody who enjoys ice cream and you would like a healthier alternative. When you do have one of those emotional moments. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.